News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. A 22-year-old former Utah State football player is being bound over on charges of allegedly entering several on-campus dorm rooms and raping a female student last spring. Ismail Izzy Kalani Vayafou was arrested in April and later granted release while the case against him proceeds through the court system. Court staff reports Vayafou was in First District Court Tuesday morning for a preliminary hearing. He was previously charged with rape, a first-degree felony, 3 counts of forcible sex abuse, and 1 count of burglary, along with 3 misdemeanors. Vayafou waived his rights to the hearing where a judge would have determined whether or not prosecutors had sufficient evidence in the case. He also pleaded not guilty to the charges. As his attorney explained, they were working on a possible plea deal with prosecutors. According to an arrest report, USU police officers were called to the Living Learning Center dorms on a report that Vayafou had entered several rooms on several different floors early on the morning of April 18th. He was a resident in the dormitory and was reportedly intoxicated. KBNU News Time is 4:06. KBNU weather for tonight: patchy smoke, partly cloudy skies, overnight low in the mid-50s. Slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon on Thursday. Patchy smoke with some sunshine tomorrow. High temperature in the lower 80s. A pretty cool 78 degrees right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy, featuring the best prices in the valley and, as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for a prescription, check with Cache Valley Pharmacy first for the absolute best price, especially on compounds and insulin. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
Hey, get prepared for the hunting season. Did you remember to bring your hunting gear, your sleeping bags, and coats into Mount Logan Laundry? With their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, they can do any job. And while you're at it, bring in the comforters and blankets and get ready for the colder months ahead. Try Mount Logan Laundry. For a few quarters, you can use their large-capacity washers and dryers and be done in no time. Free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. They're at the corner of 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town.
KBNU News Time is 4:07. Many Utah students, particularly those in rural areas, often are left without access to their school's meal program during breaks in the school year. But a measure pending in Congress would extend federal food programs designed to fill in those nutrition gaps for families. Approval of the program, called the Stop Child Hunger Act of 2021, would make pandemic-era pilot programs permanent to provide funds to replace meals during summer school breaks and unanticipated school closures. Gina Cornea with Utahns Against Hunger says unless lawmakers act, funding for these programs will expire at the end of the current school year.
It's expensive to run those programs. A lot of times they're connected to summer school programs. So if district doesn't have a summer school program, they don't have a summer food program because summer school isn't all summer.
Programs provide families with kids eligible for free or reduced cost school meals with an electronic benefits transfer, or EBT, a card to cover meals missed when school is not in session. And an out-of-state visitor at Zion National Park died after complaining about heat exhaustion. Officials said they received a report that John Wolf, a 32-year-old man, was expressing concerns about the weather at the exit route of the left fork of North Creek. KUTV reports he was visiting from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Medics and emergency medical technicians were dispatched to Wolf's location on Monday and found him unresponsive. Teams reported administering CPR for about 1 hour before stopping resuscitation efforts per guidance by St. George Hospital Medical Control. A long line from a Grand Canyon National Park helicopter transported Wolf from the location. According to AccuWeather, temperatures reached a high of 95 degrees at the park when Wolf complained about the heat exhaustion. KBNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
NMLS 1817019.
Got a rate over 2.9%? There's a falsehood that you should only refi if you can cut your rate by 1%. The truth is, lowering your rate by just 0.25% and making the same payment you make right now can cut years off your mortgage, saving you tens of thousands in interest. LendRight Mortgage will show you exactly how much you will save by cutting your rate by only 0.25%. Pay zero closing costs with our Freedom Loan. If your rate is over 2.9%, be smart. Stop wasting money. Lock a 30-year rate as low as 2.25% or a 15 at only 1.75%. APR 2.45 and 1.96 respectively. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com. For rates in the ones, call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
Coming up on a Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, we've got fantastic guests, including Liz Wheeler on what's happening in California with the recall election, and Vivek Ramaswamy on Woke Inc. and how this is infiltrating all across America. Plus, Clay updates on
the latest mess in Afghanistan. Are we going to get our people out? And COVID insanity. The CDC doesn't want you to travel on Labor Day weekend. What madness. Come hang with us. It'll be the Thursday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Every day, Doctors Without Borders teams confront hard facts in conflict and crisis zones. When others might look away, we step in to act. Because measles still kills more than 100,000 children every year. We're there to vaccinate over 1 million worldwide, including those affected by the current outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo. Because half of all maternal deaths occur during delivery or within 24 hours. We've assisted more than 1.4 million births around the world, including care for new mothers in Afghanistan. Because some countries only have 1 or 2 mental health professionals, we offer counseling and clinical care, providing over 400,000 mental health consultations worldwide last year, including care for migrants and refugees on the dangerous journey north from Central America. The fact is, your acts of care and compassion make our life-saving work possible. Picture the impact we can have together. DoctorsWithoutBorders.org.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Hour 1 of today's show, Wednesday, September 1st. Can you believe it? Oh, man. Time flies. Still feels very, even July-ish out there today, temperature-wise. Pretty warm. Not as
Yesterday was like really warm.
Yeah. And ironically, it's not as warm as we had a stretch of in June. But yeah, it's definitely reminding us that it's summer until nearly the end of September at least. And I welcome that. I've said this a million times on the show. I think I say it every year, but one of the hardest transitions for me seasonally is actually coming out of winter. February is just a tough month for me. I get so tired of the well, of course, I don't know if it snows anymore in Utah, but
sometimes the mountain gets a flake or two.
When it used to snow in Utah,
back in the old days, remember that?
That's by February the snow's ugly and gray, and on the side of the roads it's been so splattered with salt and dirt and tailpipe pollutants that it's just really one of my favorite times of the year. And then towards the end of February, 1st of March, you start to get those hints of spring. In fact, if you look really close at the willow trees in February, you get some hints of spring, probably the earliest of most things here in the year. So I start to warm up to it, and I start to enjoy that time of year as I just accept it. The second hardest time for me is summer to fall. And I think it's really a holdover from being in school. I think it's just ingrained in all of us, But
summer's over.
I think I love summer. I love the outdoor activities. Outdoor recreation is probably my favorite thing in the summertime. Not as big of a fan of, although I have adopted snowshoeing, which surprises me because I spent my whole life saying it's like walking more slowly with more effort to places that look exactly like where you got out of the car because everything's covered with snow.
And you get a lot better exercise in the process.
Yeah, it is. I've started to warm up to that. Cross-country skiing, not so much. That's too much work to get 100 yards.
Yeah. I've done that a few times. Man, that is a workout.
If you want to be in shape, though, and need something in the wintertime. But, yeah, anyway, my point being that this is, as we transition out of summer, in the past, I used to have a hard time letting go of it. I was that one that just wore flip-flops and shorts a week too long. I was the one that was suggesting to friends and family that, there's still time for a Bear Lake beach trip. Everyone's standing there in their jackets and their hats looking at me like I'm an idiot.
Really?
Yeah. And although we have done September Bear Lake trips as a family when I was a kid, and it's not bad. The water stays warm pretty late. Anyway, I learned to love fall. I learned to accept this transition that you can't avoid. I'm really looking forward to it this year because I think, we'll talk about this more throughout the year. But so I've been thinking about this a lot, Bill. I don't know why it's stuck in my head, but they say this happens. They say you'll have these three things in your head, and suddenly there'll be, or these two things in your head, and suddenly there'll be a third thing that connects them all. And the third thing for me happened to be Governor Cox, and a conversation I actually had with him earlier today, which was just a few quick text messages back and forth, and they're public. This happened on Twitter, or texting back and forth on Twitter, not text messages. He hasn't given me his personal cell phone number. Can you believe that? He should.
Yeah, but I thought you guys were
actually,
buds.
To be honest with you, I think I do have it here because he called the station when he was lieutenant governor from his cell phone. So I think I actually have it, but I won't abuse that.
I wonder if when you become governor, you get special.
Yeah,
number.
I'm assuming he gets a new one.
Yeah,
but
you'd think so.
But so anyway, I expressed some thoughts using the For the People Twitter account today about the governor's unfortunate comments yesterday, and had an amazing exchange with the governor. It was really short, but it was cool. One, it's cool the governor the governor does this. That he talks to people online. I mean, he knows who I am because of KVNU, so he recognizes that. He follows back, all of that. But he also does this with just random people that he's never met or heard of before. He engages, and I think that's really cool. But to connect these three dots, so we have Carrie Fuhr of the Highway Safety Office of the Utah Department of Public Safety on the other day. And towards the end of the interview, I asked just one last question. I said, we were talking about overall highway safety in perspective of seatbelt wearing, and some data showing that it's actually a growing problem in rural areas. Primarily, as Carrie told us, because people think, I do this myself, or have in the past, I don't anymore, but people think, I'm just running down to the store. I'm just running down to open a gate.
There's all of 3 cars out in our neighborhood here.
Yeah. running out to check the horse's water, those types of things. I mean, these are really common things that are said and thought in rural areas. Unfortunately, there are fatalities at 25 miles an hour, at 30 miles an hour. Cars leaving roadways, drivers leaving the driver's seat because they're not belted into it, and they lose control for some reason. So we're talking about that and this campaign, Together for Life, where they're trying to get this message out into rural areas that, no, it's still important to clip that seatbelt, even if you're just running down to the store or running down to fill the horse's trough or whatever it is. And at the end, I said, what does the data look like on this 100 deadliest days, Memorial Day to Labor Day? And she said she wouldn't. I was hoping she'd give us a teaser of what that report's going to say, but she wouldn't. She said that report comes out next week. You'll have to wait for it. But she did say, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exact words. Although you've been using it, I know in the news team's been using it in the news cycle throughout the day here. She has something to the effect of, it's been a really odd year when it comes to traffic incidents, citations for excessive speed, road rage, things like that. You know, she mentions that 2021 has just been an odd year, and that gets me thinking about, people being anxious and things being kind of dialed up to 11 all the time.
Pent up frustration.
Yeah,
perhaps.
And then it's been a rough few years. Right now, we've got, Afghanistan. This has really been bizarre almost. We've got Afghanistan in the news again for good reason. I mean, it's a notable event, withdrawing. And we're officially out, by the way. 20-year war officially came to an end this week. That's, finally, right? But now we're all subjected to the same yapping faces from 2002, 3, and 4 that propped this up, that propped up everything from secret detention bases to warrantless spying to all the things that happened in the name of the war on terror that I think negatively altered the character of our country, and all these same people didn't ever pay a price. They're back on CNN, they're back on Fox, they're back on MSNBC as experts. How do they even have jobs? They were so wrong about this war. Anyway, I digress. But it's deja vu for a lot of people. But it's also war talk. It's also, there's concern now about the Taliban. We're talking about terrorism again. And this is on top of, an ugly 4 years, 2 ugly back-to-back presidential campaigns, a pandemic to cap all that off. People are anxious. People are wound up. And I don't know when the fever breaks. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is us going forward as a country, as a culture. I don't think so, because when I go, walk the streets of my hometown, even when I'm in other places, when I was up in Idaho over the last weekend, way up north, so many people just going about their lives. They're aware of the news. They knew. I talked with some locals that knew we'd pulled out of Afghanistan. They were excited about it, or that we were at the time pulling out, and they were excited about it. And then they just went about their lives. But I think behind all this, there is this anxiousness, this anxiety. We'll talk about this later on, but an entertainment columnist of all people had the coolest column today in the Solid Tribune with a very simple solution and a reminder for us all on this. But so all these dots connected, and I realized that watching the reaction to the governor's comments yesterday, if you listen to what the governor said that got him in such hot water in context, which I'll provide for you later on in the show, he's making a great point. That point was entirely lost because of social media. On social media, people, some just having fun with it, some outright livid at the governor's word choice. And his point, which everyone hoping to end this pandemic should get behind, is lost. And all this connects in my head for a minute. The anxiety, seeing the same yapping faces on cable news, saying the same things they were 20 years ago and being just as wrong. Our local news cycle in general also getting swept up in this. People just looking for something to react to, piling on as groups, the bandwagon and tribe mentality. all this connects, and I realize we need to take a collective deep breath. We'll talk more about that. I want to get to this, and I'll be honest with you, I'm apprehensive about this because this is a very personal story that's been shared with us here by Cache County Executive David Zook. Yesterday on the show, we made the announcement, as the statement came out, that Logan Regional Hospital Medical Director Taki May had announced that the situation there at Logan Regional Hospital is not good. In fact, she said dire, and they're in a situation where, here's the exact quote from the director. This means if there are urgent cases, there is nowhere for them to go at our hospital, and even less ability to transfer them outside of our hospital, as most facilities in our state are in a similar situation. The past 18 months have been exhausted for our caregivers, and this pandemic has taken a huge toll on us all mentally and emotionally. The path to our healing for our own mental health is ending the pandemic. Administrators there at the hospital report the hospital doesn't have open beds in the ICU or the medical nursing unit. And then, so Cache County Executive David Zook was to join us today for our county hour at 4 o'clock.
Which we have, every month.
Every month.
Yeah.
And he texted this morning, and he said, I'm not going to make it today. And I'd like you to tell my story on air, even though I can't be there. And it relates to this Logan Regional Hospital. He said he wants people to understand what this means. Something that's happened to him and a loved one that was a direct effect of this. So I'm going to make an attempt to tell that story as related to me via text with Cache County Executive David Zook right after this.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. It's finally summertime, but if you struggle with CPAP, you might not be getting the sleep you need to get outside and enjoy your favorite summer activities. Fortunately, there's a treatment that will give you the sleep you dream of called Inspire. It works inside your body with just the click of a remote. Learn more at InspireSleep.com. Inspire Sleep Apnea Innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
Loveland Living Planet Aquarium takes us outside our everyday lives, into a world of discovery. It's a chance to explore our innate curiosity, discover animals from around the world, and experience the all-new outdoor plaza and eco. More to explore at Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. Reserve your visit at thelivingplanet.com.
Hi, I'm Carson Kressley. Of all the most valuable resources in the world, kindness is the most precious. For more than 140 years, American Humane has been working to make the world a kinder place for animals. Rescuing those caught in disasters, protecting animals on our farms, on the silver screen, and the world's remarkable and endangered species who need our care to help them survive. All of us can make a difference by making humane choices at the supermarket, in our choice of entertainment, and by supporting conservation and rescue efforts. It's not hard at all. Make being kind a lifestyle choice and visit AmericanHumane.org for simple ways you can help build a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for animals and for all of us.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Sharing a story here from Cache County Executive David Zook, and he gave me permission, not only to give me permission to do this, he encouraged me to do this because he feels that this is an important message to get out right now to make sure people understand what exactly we're talking about. Yesterday, again, Logan Regional Hospital Medical Director Taki May announced that they're full. There are no open beds in the intensive care unit or the medical nursing unit. It's dire, was the exact quote. Hospital administrators report that the emergency department is consistently treating over 100 patients every 24-hour period. That's up 33% from normal volumes at this time of year. And just the 24 hours between Monday and Tuesday when this announcement came out, they treated over 100 patients in that 24-hour period. 25% of those patients required a full-on admission to the hospital, and 40% of those patients were in ICU and or the medical unit and are COVID-19 positive. 95% of the COVID-19 cases they've admitted have not been vaccinated. It's a serious situation. So David Zook joins us once a month for the County Hour. We talk about, as we do with Logan City Mayor Holly Danes for Speak to the Mayor, we do the County Hour with Mr. Zook, and we talk about all things Cache County. And he said, so he texted me this morning and said, I know we have on the calendar, it being the first Wednesday of the month, that I'd be joining you in the studio at 4. I'm going to have to reschedule. I'm at the hospital. My mom is very sick with COVID-19. And so I expressed my regret. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. Don't worry about the show. We'll figure something out on another Wednesday this month. And he said, thank you. And then he said, maybe you could talk about this. Maybe you could talk about the statement yesterday from the hospital about them being full. And I asked him, I said, are you okay with me sharing this story? And he said, yes. And so here's what he told me. He said, in the last 24 hours, I've seen this firsthand. Or excuse me, in the last few days, I've seen this firsthand. He said that, I'm scheduled to join your show. I'm canceling right now because my mom is in the hospital battling COVID, and I'm here to help her. You can share this story. The emergency room was completely full early Monday morning. So the emergency room was completely full early Monday morning when he was trying to get his mom admitted for treatment. She couldn't breathe. She was having basically the worst reaction you can have to COVID-19. So she couldn't breathe. And he said they headed up to the emergency room Monday morning, completely full. Nowhere to sit, nowhere to stand.
Wow.
He said they were not able to take her right away because they were overwhelmed. And he said, my mom was in bad shape, unable to breathe. He said once she did finally get in, they helped her initially, but then had to leave her again as others came in, and the short staff, the staff had to rush off to help others coming in. He said it was very scary because she was very sick, but they couldn't spend much time with each patient because there were so many patients. And he said basically that was the situation Monday morning, showing up in an emergency room and the emergency room's full.
You think that would be, a time things are just getting going for the week, not too busy normally?
Yeah, and Cache County Executive David Zook said, the COVID cases, there's many, but he said they're in addition to the regular emergencies they have to deal with, heart attacks, car accidents, etc. He said, for example, while they were there waiting to be admitted, and again, his mom couldn't breathe. When they did admit her, they were having a hard time, spending any real time with her. They just would try and do what they could and then rush off to the next patient. And he said while they were there, a helicopter flew in a patient and from a traumatic accident. And he said just as they were arriving to the ER parking lot, that happened. He said they were able to finally get his mom stabilized in the ER and told them that she'd need to be admitted, but it was going to be a while before they had a room. So she couldn't go to a room because there simply wasn't one open. And Mr. Zook said, I want everyone to know the care she's been receiving has been great. The staff are amazing and caring and professional despite all of this. And he said they're overwhelmed. He said one nurse told me they're handling about 50% more patients than they usually would in this single unit. But he said everybody's been patient and kind and helpful, even though you can tell they're exhausted. So a very personal experience of the Logan Regional Hospital basically being out of space, overextended and overworked staff, everyone exhausted, and again dealing with, according to the statement from the hospital yesterday, 33% increase in volume compared to what they'd normally be expecting at the 1st of September in an ordinary year. They're dealing with over 100 patients every 24-hour period. That was, again, from the statement. Mr. Zook, again, said I could share this story, said he was fine with that, even though it was a personal story, and says that his mom is stable, and they're treating her well, and everyone's been very professional and nice. But he said, again, it's just impossible not to notice how exhausted they are, and to arrive at the emergency room with your mom who can't breathe and have no one able to help you. Stand there and wait.
You hear that about, in other cities, like big cities and stuff that are hospitals that are overtaxed. But around here, you don't think about, you think that they might be busy on any given day or night, but not to where you're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Especially if you're having a, life-endangering emergency.
It's just, I can't imagine, having recently had a situation like that in my own life last year. I can't imagine, being told, I'm sorry, we don't have time. We don't have staff. We don't have anywhere to put you. We don't have anyone that can help you here at the emergency room. Yeah, that's the literal situation, though. So appreciate Mr. Zook allowing us to share that story. I hope that really sets in. The only way to change this is, of course, vaccines, being careful, recognizing that this Delta variant spreads very easily. Listen to the health experts as they're telling us to put our masks back on more often, go get vaccinated if you can. And that's literally the only way this changes. So, yeah. All right. Again, thank you to Mr. Zook, if he's out there listening, for letting us share that story. If you'd like to read the statement from Logan Regional Hospital about reaching capacity and the workload they're dealing with in the last few weeks, up 33% from what they normally be dealing with this time of year, that story at cashvalleydaily.com, and we'll be back with more For the People after the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:37. The news is brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy. A new jury trial has been scheduled for a 36-year-old former Logan man charged with allegedly raping a child more than 8 years ago. Guillermo Gizmo Farias is being held in the Cache County Jail since being arrested on a warrant in April. Farias appeared in 1st District Court Tuesday afternoon for a status hearing. He was previously charged with rape of a child, a first-degree felony, and 3 counts of sex abuse of a child, a second-degree felony. Farias's previous trial was postponed in July, and after his former attorney was disbarred due to an unrelated case. During Tuesday's hearing, newly hired defense attorney Dale Bohm said he was quickly getting up to speed on the case. He asked the court for a new jury trial. Judge Angela Fonsbeck rescheduled the trial to begin January 25th through 28th. She also ordered Farias to appear again in court December 20th for a final pre-trial conference. Once again, the Utah Department of Health issued risk ratio statistics today showing in the last 28 days people who are unvaccinated are at 4.8 times greater risk of dying from COVID-19 and 5.7 times greater risk of being hospitalized due to COVID-19. Today's Utah Department of Health COVID report includes 1,685 new cases, the highest one-day total in over 7 months. Of that total, 411 are children in grades K through 12, which amounts to almost a quarter of the total cases. The report also includes 6 new COVID deaths, and now there have been 2,640 deaths since the start of the pandemic. There were 12,974 Utahns tested since Tuesday, which means more than 3.1 million people have been tested in Utah, and more than 5.7 million total tests have been administered in the last 18 months. In northern Utah, 126 new COVID cases were reported, and the district's total case count grew to 24,763. Currently, there are 23,813 considered to be recovered. Within the Bear River Health District, exactly 1,100 people have been hospitalized over the course of the pandemic. Utah's new rolling 7-day average for positive tests increased to 1,289 a day. Total positive cases in Utah during the pandemic now number 466,107. KVNU News Time is 4:40.
This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
KVNU weather for tonight, patchy smoke, partly cloudy skies, overnight low in the mid-50s, and then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms afternoon on Thursday, patchy smoke, high in the lower 80s. 30% chance of showers after midnight, Thursday night, Friday morning. This afternoon, we've stayed in the 80s, or 70 so far. Yesterday, we hit 88. It's been to 79. It's 79 degrees right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Becky Johnson from Edward Jones, bringing you the daily financial market report. After closing the books on the 7th consecutive monthly gain in August, equities started September on a flat note, with the majority index as little changed on Wednesday. Underlying performances leaned cautious, as defensive sectors and growth investments outperformed, while cyclicals lagged. Oil prices were also relatively flat, as today's OPEC meeting saw the group raise its demand outlook, but also agreed to gradual increases in production. Keeping with the day's trends, the bond market was also quiet, with 10-year benchmark treasury yields hovering around the 130% mark. The Dow Jones closed down 48 points at 35,312. NASDAQ closed up 50 points at 15,309. And the S&P closed up 1 point at 4,524. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv was down 59 cents at 87.80. Chevron down $1.06 at 95.71. Dominion was up $1.14 at 78.98. Home Depot down 89 cents at 323.64. Kroger down 29 cents at 45.74. Lowe's was down 46 cents at 203.43. McDonald's was up 69 cents at $238.15. Microsoft was down 5 cents at 301.83. Nucor down $1.30 at $116.26. Philip Morris was up 56 cents at 103.56. R.R. Donnelley was down 2 cents at $4.89, and Walmart was down 32 cents at $147.78. The price of crude oil was down 17 cents at $68.33, and the spot price of gold was down $2 at $1,816.50. This has been today's Financial Market Report, brought to you by Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 753-2915 or 135 North Main Street in Logan, Suite 102.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we can give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Contact your local Edward Jones financial advisor to get started today. Call 1-800-ED-JONES. Visit edwardjones.com or stop by any of the 7 Edward Jones offices in Cache Valley.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
This is Mike Miller with Cache Valley Bank. We love supporting local businesses and are proud to support the new Center Street Market in downtown Logan every Wednesday during the summer. The market opens at 8 a.m. and all of the merchants will be local businesses from right here in Cache Valley. Cache Valley Bank invites everyone to the Center Street Market in downtown Logan. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Meet me downtown. Meet me in downtown Logan.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. One last time, just a shout out again to Cache County Executive David Zook for letting us tell his story here on air, and again,
and we wish a speedy, a full recovery.
I was really glad to hear that his family member has been stabilized and that she's now receiving care. But man, what a story on a Monday morning to head up to the emergency room and just basically have it be too full. Have to sit there and wait. Your mom can't breathe. Just unimaginable. And so I really hope this is setting in for everybody what this means. And then also, we have reports as well. The Standard Examiner reporting that an announcement coming from the Weber Morgan Health Department yesterday as well, that same situation there. In fact, Weber County on South, there is not an open ICU bed for more than a few minutes. As soon as they get one open, they have someone already needing it. So, yeah, just I hope it doesn't stay this way for long. That's going to be on all of us. So, all right, something funny to talk about. I like this. This topic will come back up when we get to in hour 2. My exchange with the governor online, and also his comments yesterday. How people reacted to those, the pile-on, and tragically, the point he was trying to make, which he admits it was expressed poorly, but the point he's trying to make is really important. And we'll talk more about that in hour 2. But while this was all happening, normally when I open Twitter on my phone, it's a quick glance. I'm careful about who I follow, and I follow a lot of news sources, basically, official ones. Not, the stuff your uncle's linking to on Facebook, UtahPatriotNews.1 or whatever, or 1.net. No, like just actual news organizations with a track record and a preferably lengthy history. And I don't care if they lean a little right or lean a little left, as long as I know that. They still produce a lot of good news, and I like to stay informed. So I just flip it open. I scroll through some things. Occasionally, I see a headline that makes me click the link. Usually, it's more just scrolling through and getting an idea of what the big stories of the day are. Today was a little different. I actually hung out for a little bit because I was having this conversation with the governor, and it was public. Others were chiming in, and it was productive. And I think it's very cool the governor of Utah will do that. We'll talk about what exactly we said to each other, the exchange in hour 2. But while that was happening, this tweet floats through my timeline, and I thought this was hilarious. And the Lieutenant Governor, Deidre Henderson, who oversees the Utah elections office, gave this a big thumbs up after the fact. So this wasn't some rogue intern or anything like that. In fact, her response was, "I love my elections team." So this tweet scrolls through, and a little backstory here. So Justin Lee has overseen, has been the director of the elections office for years, dating back, I think, to Huntsman. No, just Herbert. He came in with Herbert. But he left recently, not because he doesn't like Cox, but he got a job offer, basically. So he left. He's still here in Utah. And he said it was one of the best jobs he's ever had. He's going to miss the team, etc. And he announced that a few weeks ago. He's only been gone about 6 days. And so today this tweet scrolls through my timeline while I'm waiting to see what the governor has to say as this conversation is playing out regarding his comments yesterday. And this was a friendly conversation, by the way. But I'm waiting to see what he has to say before I close the app and go about my day. And I see this tweet. This is from the official elections team here in Utah. Their Twitter handle is Elections Utah. And again, the lieutenant governor gave this a thumbs up. So this wasn't just some intern who got access to the account. This was something they did on purpose. I just thought it was great. It said, now this is something you'll see a lot on Twitter. This is kind of a Twitter thing that people will do to be funny. But it said, this was at about 9 a.m. this morning. 8 a.m. this morning, sorry, when I first saw this. And it said, "Good morning to everyone in Utah, except those who didn't vote in their primaries this year." And I thought that was great because it's jumping on a Twitter meme, a thing that happens on Twitter all the time, but it's also doing what the elections office is literally there to do, which is to they have two jobs. Their jobs are to encourage people to vote, make it easy for people to vote. 3 jobs, and make sure voting happens, both the security side of things, but also the facilitating votes kind of side of things. And so this is their job, actually. They're doing it in a funny way that's probably going to get a bigger response from the younger crowd than the older. And Marianne Martindale, who used to be executive director of the Alliance for a Better Utah here in Utah, she replied and said, "What about those of us without a primary to vote in? No good morning to you." And then someone else chimed in and said, Justin Lee's only been gone for a few days, and the elections office is already out here starting things. They didn't say things. Marianne replied and said, "So true, Justin Lee would have wished me a good morning." And then Justin Lee himself jumps in, former elections director here in Utah, as of 6 days ago, he replied and said, "Good morning, Marianne." And I just thought it was kind of a cool exchange. I guess I'm in the mood to point out that not all of social media is negative. But the serious side of this is, so I've done some research on this. And what's happening here with the elections, now this is just a tweet and a very short conversation. But if you look at the analytics of this, considering that tens of thousands of people follow that Elections Utah account on Twitter, what they effectively did is their reach on this was close to 300,000 people. So close to 300,000 people saw this tweet and were either given a chuckle about it or reminded that there was a primary that maybe they missed voting in their city, and then reminded that there was a general election afoot that they probably should vote in. And even if that only resulted in maybe 10, 20 people making a note, or right then going and checking the registration, maybe shooting an email or a phone call to their city, asking for details on what they need to do to be registered to vote in municipal general elections. Even if it was 20 people, that tweet cost nothing. Almost 300,000 people saw it. And probably the least valuable part of it, but still, it was good for a laugh for those who interacted with it and those who did see it. I hope we see more of this, because I start thinking about this, the ways that so Utah has a commerce department that will connect businesses with Utah public data. There's data out there that can be very helpful for everything from a business that's developing apps for smartphones to a business that maybe builds something that is useful in urban areas or useful in rural areas at certain times of year. There's public data available that can really help these businesses perfect their product, market their product, all those things. So Utah has a commerce department that facilitates connecting businesses with that. You have to pay for this. It's not free because otherwise taxpayers are paying for it. And so they do ask that a small fee is paid, but they'll connect you with this data. And imagine what they could do with this, with a Twitter account, especially with younger people under 30 maybe, who are thinking about starting a business. Free tweets, free Instagram posts. Doesn't cost them a thing other than 10 minutes of someone's time. And then to have this result where 300,000 people see it, learn something new about a service that's provided by the state. It's actually amazing to think about the exponential possibility of something as trivial as typing a few words on Twitter. But it's a reality. The elections office just proved it today. And it's the world we live in. It's kind of amazing if you think about it. It's also kind of scary. Check it out. I've posted a link to some of the analytics on this if you'd like to get an idea of what I'm talking about here. The potential reach of something like a state's election office putting out one funny comment on Twitter and the influence that could have over the number of people that maybe went out and checked their registration. Or made a mental note to do so and then maybe follow through tonight. It can have a big impact. And again, it costs the state nothing but 5-10 minutes of someone's time. I've linked to it all on our Facebook page, and we'll be back right after this.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Have you been suffering and you can't find any answers?
I actually suffer from depression and anxiety. I also have had severe IBS problems. I actually had gone into a different doctor of mine because I thought maybe I was starting to go through menopause and had problems sleeping and I wasn't resting well and just everything felt wrong.
Red River Health and Wellness can help.
I am now back at work. It's easy. I get through things effortlessly at work, and it's been a life-changing for me. I'm sleeping better at night. I have full energy all day. I don't have those slumps where I need a nap. It's been amazing. It's been a good journey for me.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Call Red River at 855-55-RIVER to schedule an in-depth consultation absolutely free. All appointments can be done remotely by FaceTime, Skype, or phone.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Columbus Travel and Norwegian Cruise Line. Save 30% and free airfare for the second person when you book your next cruise with Columbus Travel. Plus, get free shore excursions, free Wi-Fi, free open bar, and more when you book an NCL cruise with Columbus Travel by September 30th. Restrictions apply. Call Columbus Travel, 800-373-3328 or online at columbusvacations.com.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
On the next Handle on the Law.
There is no reason you can't say I want a brand new computer because the $600 screen is broken. You would legally be entitled to $600. I don't think you're entitled to anything. All you can do is sue your boyfriend for negligent parental supervision. And the defense is, hey, my kid went up there and broke the computer. The law or the court would say, Linda, things happen in life.
It's Handle on the Law, Saturdays from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU, the voice of northern Utah.
One final story for this hour, and coming up next, we'll talk about this exchange I had with Governor Cox online after some comments yesterday that have him in hot water, understandably, but the point he was trying to make was an important one, and it's been lost in all of this. Had a really thoughtful and interesting exchange with him online where a lot of people were watching. This wasn't private text or anything. Very cool the governor does that. We'll talk about what he had to say and why his message should still be something people hear. That's coming up in hour 2. American Medical Association out with their updated Their updated excess deaths list. Bill cut me off there for a second. What did I do,
I'm
Bill?
sorry. I was
my
bad.
Their updated excess
Multitasking.
deaths list. We'll talk about that as well. All of that coming up in hour 2 of today's show right after this here on KVNU Logan.